The landlord actually called St. Vincent's and was like, well, I consulted with my lawyers and they said we can't take third-party checks, which is ridiculous to me. Like, I literally don't, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I have someone here willing to pay my rent and you won't take the payment.
Well, that's true. Back in September of 2022, we did a story about third-party rental payments and how some landlords were refusing to take them. Danette Brookshire, the divorced mother of three, who spoke to Andrew Bartline, was worried she would be evicted because after finalizing a divorce and losing her job in August of that year, she struggled to cover the $565 a month payment she needed to pay to park her trailer in a trailer park. So Danette was able to get some help from St. Vincent de Paul to pay her September rent, only to have it denied by the landlord, as you heard. The rental assistance nonprofit Jesse Tree, they confirmed with us at that time, under Idaho code, unless the lease agreement says differently, the tenant is required to pay the rent. The landlord not legally obligated to take money from somebody else. Then last fall, Boise City Council voted 5-1 to add source of income to the city's anti-discrimination ordinance.
What we're really hoping to see is landlords being willing to accept, again, any source of income that's lawful and verifiable, so that people whose income comes in a form other than wages have a fighting chance, just like anyone else, to find a place that they can afford to rent in the city.
So this meant beginning the first of this year, landlords could no longer deny rental applications based on their source of income, like from a government agency, like a Section 8 housing voucher. This also meant they had to accept a third-party payment for rent. New rule would not apply to landlords, though, with 2 or fewer properties. Well, that code had been in effect for about a month and a half when Representative Brandon Mitchell introduced House Bill 545.
What you have before you is, in my opinion, it's a free market bill, and it's there to protect the rights of small businesses and property rights.
Well, during that House Business Committee meeting, when they passed the bill to the full House with a do-pass recommendation, Representative Mitchell revealed he had help drafting this bill from Dan Schoenberg, who co-owns Palouse Properties in Moscow, a rental management company who handles about 250 buildings with about 1,400 doors, as he put it, in the Moscow area. Schoenberg is also the chair of the Latah County Republican Central Committee. Schoenberg said this bill was about rent controls and not letting them happen in Idaho, but it's also about not allowing property owners to be forced to be part of a federal housing assistance program, to stop cities and counties from requiring landlords to accept third-party rental assistance, like those Section 8 vouchers. House Bill 545 flew through both chambers along party lines and is now awaiting Governor Brad Little's signature. But what about local control? What about Boise's new ordinance to help renters who need help with their rent? Well, straight down South Capitol Boulevard, straight south, I should say, just down Capitol Boulevard from the State House is where the mayor of Boise works. So Joe Paris asked her how this new bill, if signed into law, will impact the very people who for local change.
A proposed state law could soon override a City of Boise ordinance designed to help more people afford rentals. If Governor Little signs House Bill 545, this section of Boise code would be no more.
You know, I was really disappointed because I've knocked on thousands of doors and had so many conversations in the last year and know that Boiseans want the City of Boise to innovate.
Boise Mayor Lauren McLean says she is proud of the work her office, City Council, and the people of Boise have done to create affordable housing.
Making sure that regardless of where your income comes from, is it a voucher? Is it an agreement from a divorce? Is it from your parents? People can't discriminate against you because of where the money's coming from for your rent. It also makes sure that a landlord can't retaliate against you if you let them know that, you need a little paint fix up or your pipes are making some noises.
Republican Representative Brandon Mitchell sponsors House Bill 545. He broke down the legislation pretty simply.
This is designed to say that we're not going to force that on any small businesses.
To borrow a popular phrase, it is a simple bill. It says, quote, Idaho property owners can't be forced to participate in an optional federal housing assistance program or any other program or law that would otherwise regulate rent, fees, or deposits.
And what type of impact do you think that'll have in the real day-to-day lives of Boiseans?
Look, it means that our kids, that the folks that, are renting, think about like working people in this city aren't going to be protected anymore. And when Boiseans have said, like, we love this place, we want you to come up with solutions together with the City Council to make sure that we can have a home for everyone, prevent homelessness, keep people housed. It means that if the governor signs this bill, because the legislature targeted people in the city of Boise, that there's a little less protection for folks that live here.
So, are lawmakers trying to just target a Boise ordinance? Representative Mitchell says no.
We've heard a lot about Boise. This is to protect property owners throughout the state, not just in Boise. When Boise does something, the other areas start watching and start thinking the same way. And so it's time to make sure that we don't have it throughout the rest of the state.
Speaking of the rest of the state, what do Idahoans want? According to the Boise State Public Policy Survey for 2024, cost of living and affordable housing are the two top priorities statewide.
Not only in Boise, but the entire state. Affordability is the most important issue to Idahoans and Boiseans. The legislature, rather than doing the people's work, are targeting people and playing politics on the back of people.
Mayor McLean hopes to work with lawmakers in the future to create solutions, but for now, her work continues in the City of Trees.
What we're seeing right now are grabs at local solutions. When instead of, we need the state to fund our housing trust fund, to allow cities more tools to address the needs of their residents rather than taking away the good ideas we've come up with. It doesn't mean that I'm any less committed to making sure that people that call this place home can afford to live here, that we take care of people, because that's the role of government, is to put people first rather than targeting people and playing politics.
So, at this point, at 5:06 on Wednesday, the governor still needs to sign this legislation. Last check, it was actually transmitted to the governor. So that means that it's made it through the House, the Senate. All the I's have been dotted, all the T's crossed, Brian. So final step is just getting the governor's signature. To be honest, though, we don't know what he'll do, and it's possible that he could veto it. It's possible he could let it go into law without a signature, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Representative Mitchell, when he was talking about this bill in testimony in that first committee hearing, talked about rent control.
Yes.
Is that even a thing? It's not addressed in this bill, right?
No, so the ordinance in Boise, which this is the whole legislation's all about. The ordinance in Boise, to be very clear, did not do rent control. It didn't say that landlords could only charge an X amount or only raise rent by an X amount. That's not what this was about at all. But it's interesting that in the debate and in the testimony in committee, that's what a lot of people wanted to talk about. They were worried about landlords running up their bills, which is a problem, but that's not actually what this was about.
All right, so we'll just see. All right, so while that bill's future is determined by the governor's signature, whether or not he signs it or not, another piece of legislation is also waiting on a certain John Hancock.